Alright, so a couple of years later, Sucker Punch actually, got the trust and a bigger budget from Sony to develop the sequel to Sly. With a bigger budget comes a better presentation, actually. Now the models will be more detailed, the cutscenes much more elaborate, and there's a lot more fun stuff to do. So we start in the middle of the action, not in medias res, mind you, just in the middle of the action, in a museum at Cairo. Sly model has been tweaked a bit. Now he has a holster on his leg. He doesn't actually have a gun, more like his bag of tricks. Now the art is actually much more refined. Actually pretty cool. The voice actor has pretty much the same outside of Carmelita, which I will get in a second. Again, running gag and all. There you go.
Breaker Alpha Foxtrot, this is the wizard. Do you read me, Peking Duck?
This is Peking Duck. I hear you, wizard.
No, Sly, I'm the wizard.
Yeah, get into the fucking role, Sly.
I read you loud and clear, wizard.
He's taking the piss.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm not. Look, Bentley, I know this is your first time.
Yeah, this also means that also Bentley is also out in the field instead of just being your mission control.
I'm sure nothing bad will come out of that.
Wink.
I've established myself in the basement, and I'm pretty sure I can rewire the service elevator if you can power it up from that security station.
Hang tough, pal. It might take some time, but I'll figure out a way to get up there.
Alright.
So you may be wondering, where does one go after finally avenging the death of their own parent?
Well, Sly and the others are thieves, so we might as well continue stealing the shit out of everyone. So there's not a big deal. But you'll be surprised because the narration that will tell us after this sequence will tell us that Sucker Punch were really fans of Castlevania in a way. But more on that later, because for now, again, it's just a matter of stealing something from the museum at Cairo. There you go. Now, this actually is good enough to showcase a bit some of the, mostly Sly, but also what the other characters can do. For example, Bentley, again, can put up his hacking skills. Yes, thank you. To rewire alarms and potentially other mechanical devices in your favor, while Bentley will be still, the muscle of the operation and actually, brute force his way through things.
I think you mean Murray.
Murray, sorry. There we go. Again, this also with new title comes new composer, Peter McConnell, and immediately you notice the difference where the soundtrack goes for a more smooth vibe, and also similar to Gears 2, it gives a leitmotif to the Sly franchise, which is pretty cool.
Whereas Sly 1 felt like it was trying out all the different genres of music here and there, going for the typical atmospheric stuff you get in the first game, this feels like it's a lot more focused on what it wants to be as a soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Again, much like Gears 2.
It really feels it's odd how the two franchises feel really similar in a lot of ways, despite being so different to each other.
It's really a running thing that, definitely most often, it feels like a game franchise does get its identity truly by the second game.
It's a very common. Go ahead.
There are some cases where the first game absolutely nails it out of the park, but yeah, more often than not, with game series, I see it often with the second game.
It happens a lot with franchises because a lot of times the developers will attempt with a first effort. Of course, they're not they don't have the ability to just go all out because it's still an unproven franchise.
Mm-hmm. So basically it's more about ironing out the kinks, seeing what worked and just sticking with that,
Mm-hmm.
And then you have series like Final Fantasy, which after the first game was a success that saved them from bankruptcy, they decided, well, time to change up the entire
To be fair, Joe, okay, not specifically for 2, mind you, but in general, the franchise as a whole, unless they are specific, proper sequels to each title tries to reinvent itself with, art style, characterization, and gameplay.
I get that. What I'm talking about is it does take sheer audacity to completely change the formula for the second game of the franchise that literally saved your company from dying.
Okay, I will elaborate more once we You actually get to Final Fantasy 2, but the thought process behind it, Jova, is that at the time, Elder Scrolls was starting to become very popular. So Squaresoft actually wanted to ape that.
Not just
That
that.
explains a lot.
Zelda 2 was also a similar case where they had what was at the time a fantastic first game, but then for Zelda 2 they completely went in a totally different direction that alienated a lot of people. But they realized that and corrected that in Link to the Past. So, it's weird. Well, that's the thing, Teo. As for your argument, Teo, that's the thing, Teo. I would agree with you if it wasn't for the fact that 10.2 and 13.2 also heavily reworked what their predecessors did.
And there you go, there's Murray. Now, again, with a new look, complete with an actual mask and gloves to fit a wrestler personality.
I hope you weren't harmed by my meteoropic entrance.
No, Murray, I kept at a safe distance.
Good, good. The Thunderflop knows neither friend nor foe, only destruction.
Yay.
Yeah, could you maybe channel some of that raw energy into
Like,
the security
you need
gate?
really to take this seriously.
It is nothing before the Murray.
Sure.
Go ahead, finish, Jova, before I answer you.
Yeah, but when I recall even you telling me, Pedro, I was like, well, 13.2 was a change that came out of necessity because, well, 13 was just that badly received.
I'm guessing you're talking about the wider areas and stuff like that. That is true.
That
That
is
area-
that the monster capture to give more variety in your party,
Sure,
your
sure.
actual party, actually being more similar to Legend of Mana,
Alright.
all the things.
Sure, sure, sure.
You know, trying to give you actual towns and people to talk to. And yeah.
Barely, but go ahead and finish.
Whereas with 10.2, I get the feeling that that was just them trying to be, you know, creative, and, you know, them like saying, okay, 10 was a good success, but let's try and see this with 10.2. But, go on.
I guess I...
I'll
hold
be
on.
waiting in the hallway to help you carry out the clock.
Oh, Clockwerk parts. So what happened?
Interesting.
Well, to be fair, we did see at the end of the previous game that Clockwerk was not exactly dead, so something must have happened.
Yeah, he wasn't
Well,
dead
Chief-
despite us throwing him into a vat of lava.
Hate will really get you so far, Jova. Uh-oh.
Apparently.
Someone has busted us.
Dude,
and there you
calm
go.
down.
There's Carmelita and her new assistants, both voiced both by Alesia Glidewell, trying to do a Jessica Alba impression. And get this with the Shiro. Constable Neela is supposed to be British, so this American actress is trying to do actually an Hawaiian accent, is about to try a British accent. Enjoy.
You've got the motive.
Someone already stole the parts?
Don't play dumb with me. It might not have been him.
It's also so jarring because the voice actress is not trying to differentiate the voice tone outside of the accent. So when both Neela and Carmelita are on screen, you can tell it's the same while this actress.
Yeah, that's not very.
Just with a fake British accent, because that's how we talk here, Gov.
Yeah, the accent isn't great.
I'm just saying that there are other criminals in the world other than.
Avatar doesn't even sound British.
Well, gotta go.
Well,
It sounds more Australian, and even then the accent's not great.
I'm actually curious now that you said that. Pick your poison. Which one is worse to you? An accent that is technically accurate but is flanderized to the point of annoyance, like in Gears 5 Hive Busters, or something like this, where the accent is all off.
Man, that
Okay.
sure runs fast.
This.
Yeah.
Because I mean, but the problem in Gears 5 wasn't that the accent wasn't believable; it was the character. But that's about it. This, on the other hand, it's like they were halfway between British and Australian. They never quite got it.
All right. To answer your
So
question,
one thing that...
sorry.
Oh, go on.
To answer your question, Jova, that's the thing, Jova. Yeah, well, that is true. There are some aspects that, yeah, they were because of feedback. At the same time, talk about completely crapping on what the original game was trying to do story-wise and world-building-wise. So there's a lot of things that will turn off people. From like I've known fans of the first game that absolutely hated the second game because of what it did.
It's the perfect solution. By trying to course correct and convince the people who hated it, you are essentially now alienating the people who did initially like it. Now everyone can hate it together, and everyone did hate it to the point where they had to make even a third installment to still try and recoup the losses.
Get in the van, and here we go. Hold on.
I thought you were talking about 10, Joe, and I was like...
Hold on.
No.
Time to explain the synopsis of the game and what happened.
Alright.
Yeah, I'll get you next time.
Carmelita's just as angry as ever. She's really quite lovely when she's angry.
Good God,
you're an asshole.
Much like God of War, the PS2 God of War games, this game also had this thing where some of the cutscenes don't have subtitles.
But yeah, Clockwerk actually was decomposed in parts, and those were stored at the Cairo Museum. But somehow they were stolen.
No, not at all. What kind of person stays alive for hundreds of years with the express intention of wiping out a rival's family line? Imagine the hatred.
Little bird literally too angry to die.
Yeah.
Machinery. Ultimately, it did the trick. Clockwerk lived on.
Yeah, just in case you haven't played the first game.
Wound up in an orphanage. It's there that I met my pals, Bentley, the brains of our outfit, and Murray, the brawn.
You paused for a moment there, didn't you?
Yeah, to think about it, Sheila.
2 years ago, I thought I'd finished it. How naive to think I could so easily...
Yes, it was very naive of you to think that lava would kill him.
And now he's back.
Like, cut yourself some slack, it was flipping lava.
Platformers do this all the time, even though this isn't completely a platformer.
Thanks to Neela's, blurting out a bit, they know that the parts have been taken by a rival band, the Klaww gang. So, it's about to get acquainted with other people in Band of Thieves. So get these guys. This is essentially the plot of Castlevania 2. You need to find the parts of the bad guy before they actually put them together and revive it.
What a horrible night to have a curse.
I'm not even joking. When I actually played it the first time, I actually threw a double take. Wait, what?
So basically, it's the same thing.
As it would become apparent, this game is also about, mind you, this was like T-rated. This is about dismantling a drug cartel. Not even joking.
So, yeah.
And our first target is a character that became quite popular with the fans. Specifically in Paris. Dimitri, the French iguana. He's a very abstract kind of person.
Yeah.
He was once a passionate young art student who worked hard to develop his own visionary style.
Oh, okay. So he's a cab on Pablo Picasso, probably, considering those clothes.
Oh.
For his kinetic aesthetic.
True art really is incomprehensible.
The stories where Picasso did his paintings or hanging from hanging off a bungee cord were well known.
Dimitri now runs a nightclub.
As you do.
The thumping music,
Le Soir.
the light shows, and a hint of danger lure in chic young patrons from far and wide. And it's here, hidden somewhere, where we'll find the Clockwerk.
So yeah, first part to get are tail feathers that Dimitri is using to counterfeit money.
Plans to do with the Clockwerk part
as you do. But yeah, it's actually this first episode is about to crash a party. So it's Sly Cooper and the gang this time in the Black Chateau.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised more villains don't do the whole counterfeit money plot.
It's actually very hard to pull off. But yeah,
it's either destroy the world or show you're the more brainier one.
New game, new formula. Now the gang, instead of actually arriving and Sly have to do a first level before arriving in a small hub, now the entire gang has a conveniently placed hideout in the middle of a huge overworld-like map, from which they can access to different kind of missions and they can actually, they solve right there on the overworld instead of having the crash and spiral stuff of the levels, attached to the hub, which is pretty cool. This actually will become Sucker Punch a trademark in how making the open world formula.
Yep.
But before we hit the inside, we'll need to do a little reconnaissance.
And yes, this also introduced the structure that each episode will take. First thing first, gather info. So Sly will have to use a camera given him by Bentley to actually take information of the villain, his operation, and potentially other stuff that the gang can use to their advantage. So basically, Glibs, now the franchise is turning to essentially Ocean's 11. The gang has to plan heist in advance, prepare very overcomplicated shit to get their stuff done, and actually pull it off. It's pretty cool when you see everything fall into motion.
Well, I haven't seen Ocean's 11, but some parts of it do kind of remind me a bit of Now You See Me, I guess.
But anyway, the cool thing is that the Beetles are back as well. Now there are just only one group in the hub instead of having been scattering during all the levels. And once you get all of them, you need to find the correspondent safe in one place of the hub in order to get a power-up from them in this case. Pretty cool. Now, these actually can be quite challenging in finding them. So once again, if you really are struggling, lower the volume of the music and let the actual sound effect of the tingling of the bottles guide you, because it actually is helpful. And Sanzu actually did amplified it for this version because the PS2 version it wasn't too much powerful. So they actually made a point to make the process of collecting the bottles easier. So there's that.
I'm guessing you're not able to just turn up the sound effects on their own.
No, but here's another thing. Finally, in a game about thieves, you can actually pickpocket the enemies. Yeah, that's actually another addition. Get behind an enemy, unsuspecting enemies, press the circle button, and Zai will use his convenient cane to pull away coins and potentially special items from the enemy. That's pretty cool.
So I guess at this point, Sucker Punch must have heard that song from the Oliver Twist musical, You've Got to Pick a Pocket or Two.
Yep.
Use that inspiration.
Speaking of that, actually...
Again, rather than focusing too much on the platforming, they worked on what the series, is technically about and strengthening about. What is it about? Stealing. So let's structure the way the episode work around it and, how the gameplay might work instead of just making a platforming clone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Pedro?
Speaking of that, like we were talking about first entries in franchises, that's another. Recently, Sucker Punch went through the same thing with Ghost of Tsushima, where Ghost of Tsushima, while having your typical high production values from a first-party Sony IP, is not quite on the level of something like, say, God of War, which is a much more well-proven franchise. But now that the game sold 5 million units in just 6 months. It's pretty safe to assume that the second one will have a higher production value.
You can already see potential hints of improvements for how the multiplayer has been, implemented.
Oh, the multiplayer is awesome.
Again, speculations. Now, for this first bit, I'm just showcasing a bit the process of collecting the bottles, but I'm not, going to spend the entire part around it. Just to showcase a bit of the process and cutting away. For the next couple of episodes, I will just showcase the starting of the episode, collecting the last bottle, and then getting the power up. Just again, not to meander too much.
Sure.
But needless to say, when you actually play the game, it is fun to actually roam around. Collecting the bottles also helps to make you acquainted with the hub. So it's a pretty cool trick for having the players actually... Yeah, there you go. For having the players to actually, explore every nook and cranny to see what the best spots for hiding are. It's actually pretty neat.
It helps that in Sucker Punch's games, they're always very good at making the overall act of playing fun in general, the controls and the overall mechanics of climbing and exploring all that. So it's always a lot of fun to just explore in these games, to just find the nook and cranny stuff. So go ahead, cutscene.
I need you to hack into Dimitri's communication array so that we'll have access to his database.
How am I supposed to do that?
To start, you'll need to get to the top of that tower. Then reposition the satellite dish.
This first set of missions also will help you getting acquainted back to the control scheme. For example, like we mentioned in the previous game, Sly has retained most of the moves from the first game. Some of the stuff that was learned in the previous Raccoons has been conveniently forgot, like turning invisible. But you can still do, the climbing and potentially the ninja spire, the rope walk. So most of the important stuff is actually there.
Yep. To contain, that's not just 13.2 Jova, 10.2. Like right from the very first cutscene, a lot of 10 fans absolutely groaned in disgust.
It's the first impression Jova that tarnished everything. You had the first game which was a dark story about a corrupted religion that shaped the world in a very violent way, in hopeless and despair, and then the next one starts with a Charlie's Angels shtick.
So that's why I can't put. That's why I will care to disagree with you, Teo, because even when they make a direct sequel, they still completely unnecessarily rework to the point where it's just, why are you even doing this? Like, it's just like, it really is. So yeah, Joby, your overall case for it is even stronger in that case, because even direct sequels have that problem. So
there we go. This first mission is about to redirect 3 satellites in order to actually get more information about Dimitri's computer, so Bentley can do his hacking job.
Yep. Al, 10.2 doesn't just rework the story, it reworks the gameplay as well by giving it a job system. And don't get me wrong, the gameplay of 10.2 I actually really like a lot better. The job system is actually pretty good, to be fair. But again, it really feels like it does so little in terms of being an actual successor to the first game.
There we go. That's symbolizing data transfer. Again, the game runs on the assumption that cyberspace is a tangible thing.
Job completed.
That's also another thing. Each time you get these slides that does the job complete with a cool jingle, again, it will become a staple of the franchise as well. Again, shaping up the identity.
Reconnaissance photos of the Clockwerk tail feathers. To get inside, you'll have to sneak through an old wine cellar beneath town.
Okay, I'll head out for the cellar.
All right, let's go. Also, another thing. You do actually have a run button in this game, and it's actually a bit pivotal because enemies do perceive you depending on the speed of your movement. So if you're in a pinch and actually have to get away, you can run. But if you run while you're trying to, being undetected, that's bad for you because the enemy notices you.
Wine cellar is guarded by those rats. Bentley thought you might like some help clearing them out.
Sure.
Sounds like fun. You and me, back.
Yeah, just for the time being, let's just beat the shit out of these people. Why not?
It's perfect.
All right, pal. Let's get to it.
Yay.
Fear the Murray.
And yeah, the mission structure will be actually very varied, despite having each episode having a formula in itself. You will need to do different stuff, like carrying an object to a different place, or potentially just, clear a room from bad guys. Other times you will have to actually infiltrate without being detected, So there's never a dull moment in what you can do here.
Looks like you're on your own from here.
I'm used to it. Thanks for the help.
Anytime, partner.
Yay. Also, once again, similar to the previous game, you can destroy objects and furniture for instant coins. Why not? Gone are a couple of the collectibles, like the keys. Again, it was a thing that was more experimental in the first game, but didn't need it to return, so it makes sense for them not to be present here. There we go.
Sly, in order to get past these
Yeah, you also get this cool first-person view once you try to actually crawl under objects like that.
That is a terrible place to leave a table.
I know, right? Just leave it in the middle of the lasers.
It's a video game.
Yeah.
Crawl under the tables to sneak around him.
Yeah, these also introduced, that's actually a good segue from what Bentley said. This actually introduced a rework of how the enemy system works. Before, all the books could die in just one hit, so you could just mow through them. Now it's not as easy. Even the weaker books actually take quite a beating, unless you're using unless you're using Murray. And the bigger ones don't even try unless you want to sneak up behind them, because otherwise you will be defeated immediately. So the best option is to either avoid them or taking them from behind. There we go. But for the time being, we just need to get into the club so we can ignore the guard.
Hit the circle button to crawl inside. In order to shut down those yellow lasers, you'll need to take...
And there you go. This is the official tutorial that tells you about pickpocketing. Now, aside from when Sly steals coins, it's just, normal animation.
Please stop yelling into the walkie-talkie.
Oh, actually, no. This is the
enemy will hear you.
The pickpocketing is for later. For now, it was just a takedown. Yeah, thanks to the takedown, you can take even the bigger enemies basically in one hit. But you will produce, sound, so you need to be careful about that. Now, the cool thing is that a later upgrade will allow you to perform that move completely silently. So there's also, an incentive on that. And yes, and I told about upgrades because even the coins have been reworked. Instead of giving you the weird horseshoe, the weird horseshoe lucky charm system, now you actually have a health bar, so the coins have been reworked to actually serve as, coinage that you can use to purchase upgrades
Really?
from the internet, believe it or not. That's actually a cool implementation.
Yeah.
If you get in a fight with those rats, the sneak attack won't work. It's purely a stealth move.
Yeah. So basically, if there are more enemies in one room and you perform the takedown, the others will notice immediately, even if it's silent. So it's better to use it instead when you're actually trying to, follow one enemy at a time in isolated groups. Yeah, I don't think I actually managed to pickpocket, because when an enemy has an object that might be worth pickpocketing, their bags flash, like that enemy actually had. But I will show an example later on in another part anyway, but I will show it constantly through the run anyway, so there's another time right now. There we go. And there we go, the base of operations, so let's take some photos.
Head for those windows and take some
Seen it.
reconnaissance photos. Tap the R3 button, click the right analog.
Okay,
Yes,
I get it.
I
Can you
know
please
what
stop talking
button
right
is,
here?
but-
You're gonna
Whisper,
distract me.
please. I'm begging you.
Seriously, he's not shut up for the last 5. He hasn't shut up for 2 seconds.
Tap the R1 button to take a picture when you've got a good
I
shot.
know.
There we go, that's first
Jesus
Dimitri.
Christ.
Hold on.
That's our target, Dimitri, professional lounge lizard.
Yeah,
What, the back of his head?
not just that, Dweebs. Basically, Bentley just called, it's more direct in some actual localization, but Bentley just called Dimitri a gigolo.
Security systems.
Yeah.
I don't even know what
Oh
jiggle is.
my!
Male prostitute.
Pretty much.
Okay.
It's fun for everyone, I guess.
Wasn't this rated teen, though, you said?
I think so, but it's weird how it works. Some kind of. And it's also every country for country.
If I remember correctly, I think
okay,
there's a
so
Peggy
my-
12 here. Let me check. Go ahead.
That should do it, Sly. Head back to the safe house and we'll cook
All
up
right.
a plan.
Before finishing the part, let me check the one thing that I omitted: the filmography of Alesia Glidewell. There we go. No, that's producer. As actress, there we go. This was one of her first roles. She get this, Jovan. She voiced
Oh.
Crystal in Star Fox Assault.
Huh.
Then she's the official voice actor of Chell from Portal, and Portal 2, of course. Then she voiced Zero Suit Samus for the Smash games.
Of course.
And more recently, she reprised the role as Chell for Lego Dimensions, but that was in 2015, and that's it. All right.
Hold on,
Yes,
Sly 2 here in Europe was rated PEGI-free.
Yeah, fuck no. No. This is a game about dismantling a drug cartel with a lot of violence in it.
Well, hold on, let me see.
But-
Let me see what rating the HD collection has.
Don't you say the because it's not cartoonish animals and drugs are never really.
Oh yeah,
explicitly
just
referred
like
to.
like Crash Team Sanity could get away with a free plus.
Exactly.
In the same way that
You'd be amazed what they could get away with.
in the same way that Professor Layton in the Lost Future gets away with a PEGI 7 rating, despite that moment with that also wonderful, charming character that is Rosetta Stone. You know.
Oh, by the
So-
way, over here, Slide 2 Bandicoot is ready to eat for everyone.
Check your mic is plugged in.
Yeah,
properly,
But yeah,
Java.
it's still E for everyone. So yeah, I forgot it's not even T. Like they managed to get away with drug busting for an E rating.
The HD collection on America was also rated. Well, actually, it says E10. It says here apparently. Let me double check real quick.
I guess it's a
Yeah,
no rating.
yeah.
But
No, it literally has E10. So I'm guessing some of the games are E. One of them, maybe probably this one is E10. However, Teo, the HD collection on Europe got a PEGI 7. So back on the PS2 days, Teo, if you were 3 years old, by all means play this game. However, in 2012 was it that this game came? Yeah, 12. Now you have to have 7 years old at least. So
yeah, but anyway, see you for the next part where we continue busting up Dimitri's operation. See ya.
yeah.